Good evening and a very warm welcome to State of the Nation. This week we will celebrate our 62nd Republic Day. Should we celebrate our Republic Day or should we introspect at what's gone wrong with the Indian Republic? To gauge the public mood, we at CNN-IBN along with Outlook magazine commissioned an opinion poll on the one factor that is plaguing us at the moment, which has plagued us for the last 60 years, corruption. We'll bring you the findings of our opinion poll on corruption in just a moment. First, let me introduce you to our panelists who will help us analyze the findings of our Republic Day opinion poll. Joining us, Sachin Pilot, Minister of State for Communications and Information Technology is joining us. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, Independent MP in the Rajya Sabha. Subhashini Ali, President of AIDWA and member of the CPM. Right here in our studio, Neerja Chaudhary, Senior Journalist. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's now get you the findings of our CNN-IBN Outlook poll on corruption on the occasion of Republic Day. Are we hanging our heads in shame as a republic? We asked people to rate professions on a corruption scale. The results were not surprising. Most corrupt profession was seen as politics. 66% of the people said politicians are most corrupt. Bureaucracy was next on the list with 14% as the most corrupt. Police according to 7% and judiciary according to 3%. Which is the most corrupt party according to you? We asked. 32% say the Congress is the most corrupt party. 8% say the BJP is the most corrupt. So the BJP far less corrupt than the Congress in that opinion poll. 5% say left is the most corrupt. 45% though say all political parties are equally corrupt. So deep-seated cynicism there on all political parties. How satisfied are you with the Prime Minister's handling of corruption? 57%, almost 6 out of 10, say that they are unsatisfied with Manmohan Singh's handling of corruption. 43% express satisfaction with the Prime Minister's handling of corruption. So we're focusing tonight on politicians, on the Prime Minister, on the UPA government and the beating it is taking on corruption. Chandrasekhar, respond to that at the end of the day, the Prime Minister is moving. Today, Kalmari has been sacked, Bhanod has been sacked. It's too little too late, many would say, but the Prime Minister in his own way is moving and in due course, results will start happening. So are we judging the Prime Minister too harshly for shielding Mr. Raja, for not acting against corruption?
No, I mean, I don't know if, the word harsh or soft is a good way to describe this. I think the fact is, today the country is reasonably dismayed, disappointed, angry, upset. You can use the metaphor that you want at what we see going on around us. And, Sachin's a good friend of mine, but I must say that I am recently disappointed even with Mr. Sibal, the telecom minister, trying to whitewash the 2G loss and saying that there is zero loss. But you can't help feeling a bit cynical about what is going on. It may be true that what Sachin says actually pans out over time. But the fact is, as we see it today, it seems like there is not enough of a sincerity in getting to the bottom of these crimes and bottom of these scams.
Shekhar, to just respond to what Sachin Pilot said, are you convinced?
No, I would love to believe him, and I hope he's right. But the fact is, history shows us that very few scams go punished in India. I mean, especially when it involves corporates, when it involves white-collar crime, almost always this is swept under the carpet. If there is a fresh new beginning in the government this time around, more power to them. But I would remain cynical, skeptical, till I actually see that happen. Too many times we've seen, the rhetoric and the spin sort of distract and diffuse from the real issue of pinning the guys who did the crime.
Let me get Rajeev Chandrasekhar to respond to that. The point is, why just blame the Congress party? Look at Yedurappa, look at the BJP, look at Karnataka. There also, there is no question of Mr. Yedurappa even making a suggestion of stepping down, and 66% saying politicians are responsible for all the corruption in society. Now, we therefore can't blame just the Congress.
No, I mean, I didn't blame the Congress. I mean, you actually asked me the question and I just agreed with you. I actually have gone on record and said that I think there is a real need for reforms in governance and politics because this disease is a contagion that's spread across parties, spread across state governments and central governments. And unless we go out and fix this problem, this is the biggest threat to our republic. This whole corruption nexus of politicians and businessmen and the whole capture of government by big money.
Chandrasekhar, what about election funding? Do you think that really is the root of all corruption?
Sagarika, I think we are simplifying this. We are oversimplifying this, and I'll give you an example. The U.S. midterm elections recently, where President Obama did so badly, his party did so badly, the total estimated spending was about $3.5 billion. Now, you can't keep money out of democratic politics. That's just a fact.
But that's the point. So then why don't we regularize it, make it accountable, make it transparent, make the money transparent?
Yeah, but let's assume for a minute that you do that. I'll tell you, my own view is most of this corruption is arising not out of electoral funding or not funding. It is coming out of this vast administrative discretion that governments have in spending these huge amounts of money that we are spending today as a government. And all of these contracts with private sector that they are allowed to enter into with very little oversight. It is this issue that is creating the billionaires, and as Raghuram Rajan said, this is no longer crony capitalism. This is oligarchic capitalism.
So the government has to get out of a controlling position. Government can't decide who to give the licenses to, who to award contracts to, because the minute the government can decide, there is corruption.
Yeah, it is administrative discretion that ministers and bureaucrats have vis-a-vis public assets and public money. If there is this unfettered discretion, that money shall flow to whoever greases the palms or oils the machine or oils the wheels.
Yeah, but Rajeev Chandrasekhar, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, a lot of politicians will feel it doesn't matter that we are amassing a huge amount of money. The fact is the voters are captive. So what's the incentive in the political system for the politician to not be corrupt?
No, I don't know. I mean, what is the only incentive for anybody not to be corrupt is if the system puts them in jail. I mean, otherwise people will continue to be corrupt. I mean, there's a system of checks and balances that have to work, and unfortunately in India they don't work enough. So if you give a free ride and a free run to anybody near a cookie jar, they will dip into the cookie jar and eat it. I mean, but the
who's going to put who in jail? Rajeev Chandrasekhar, how can we clean up politics? If top ministers and top politicians actually are marched off to jail, is that the way?
No, I agree with what Nirja says. I think finally at the end of the day, the people have to start discriminating between a good politician and a good leader and a bad leader. And that's just the fundamental rule of democracy. If the people vote with their heads, we will get a better democracy and better leaders.